Oh, hello, world. I'm your old pal, Jim Steranko. No, I'm your old pal, Dan Shaheen. Welcome to Comic Book News. It's another, exciting edition of the Million Dollar Mailbox.
We're on a mission from God.
Woo-hoo! Today, I'm bringing in Larry Young. We're going to look at, box of stuff that's been piling up. I got a box. People just keep mailing me comics and comics. Some from comics publishers, big and small, right down to the indie level. We've got books from today. We've got from Adhouse Books, Northstar by Tom Herpich. Oh, man, we've got a bunch of stuff from Bottlecrow Productions. And we've got X-Farce Reloaded from our old pal Don Chin. We'll take a quick look at this, and I'll bring Don back in sometime soon, and we'll talk about it. And we've got The Thud from Fantagraphics Books by Mikael Ross, which is shaking me up. I just almost finished the book. I have a few pages left, and I'm just like, I ran out of time, but we'll talk about what a great book it is. And we'll talk with Larry Young. But first, wait a minute. Let's get a little more comfortable. Okay, back in the Bat Cave. And today we're going to bring in Larry. We're going to look at stuff. But before we do, let's get a little business out of the way, shall we? We do a little bit of the business. If you want to see your comics on the Million Dollar Mailbox, you know where to go. Send them to the Million Dollar Mailbox, P.O. Box 1163, Arcata, California, 95518. Let's see. Oops, Arcata, California, 95518. Send your books in, man. I've got a ton of stuff. I'm getting stuff all the time, but I always need more. I've got an insatiable appetite for comics, right? And if you don't provide them, I don't know. What am I have to go spend my own money on comic books? Heaven forbid. So make sure to send your stuff to the Million Dollar Mailbox. Check us out. I'm doing more live streams. I'm going to try to get into a daily, at least on weekday cadence, and who knows, maybe an occasional weekend morning live stream. I'm going to still do interviews maybe once a week. I'll tell you the truth. It's a pain in the butt. The interviews are tough. They're tough to set up. And then once they do, depending on who it is, we don't get as many views, or people don't watch the whole thing or whatever. It's a lot easier to just come on and vamp and talk about comics. But that's not enough for me. Really the thing that my goal with this channel was to just reach out and get to know people in the comics industry. Reach out and find some connections and connect to people, really connect with them, find out what's going on, and dig a little bit deeper below the surface than I see a lot of YouTube channels doing. So thanks for supporting me with that. Next week on Thursday or so, who? Pat Mills? Dude, come on. Pat Mills. Have you read 2000 AD? Have you read martial law, for heaven's sake? I mean, it's going to be awesome. Pat Mills, super easy. I reached out to him across the pond. He's like, certainly, Dan. What time would you like to meet? And it is on. All right. That guy's ready to talk about what's his new comic, Space Warp. He pitched it as imagine a creator-owned 2000 AD. And that just tickles me in all the right spots. Okay. So that's next week, along with a bunch of surprises. I don't know what's coming up in this coming week, but what I do know is coming up is our old pal Larry. Let's bring in Larry right now. Lieutenant Commander Larry Young.
Happy to be here, Dan.
Oh man, what's new and exciting, Larry?
Live from the moon. What's new and exciting? I'm almost done with my Shield collection. Did you know about this? Agents of Shield was on for 7 years, and every week I wrote an article talking about it for Spunky Bean.
Oh, okay.
And EJ, the editor, EJ Fettis, was so funny. He's like, I didn't realize when I asked you to do that. I thought we'd get a couple of columns and some laughs, and you go do something else. I didn't realize I was asking you to write a 300,000 word book that would take 7 years about this TV show.
and Larry, was it worth it? I mean, I'll be honest. I watched a few episodes of the first series of the first season of Agents of Shield, and then it kind of fell off my radar. Like every network TV show basically fell off of my radar.
Sure.
So tell me what you like so much about that.
Well, thing. I'm a Shield guy from way back, and that the story about me being in the 616, right? That Joe Casey was
what?
The 616, that's what they call the comic book universe of Marvel.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Joe Casey was writing Cable. And this is so long ago, I don't remember what it was, but I did him some favor that I thought was nothing. And he said, "Oh my God, how can I pay you back?" And I said, just put me as a Shield guy in your comic. That'll be funny. And then I'll try to get the art from somebody and hang it up in the office. He's like, "Oh no, I really appreciate it. I'm going to do this one better." And he made me a recurring character. It's like Larry Young is he's the head of the air cavalry. He's in charge of all the flying cars and stuff.
Awesome.
And in the Deathlock thing across the 12 issues, at the end, the Jack Truman character did a Tibetan mind switch to get out of the Deathlock robot body. So, and I was embarrassed and drunk by that time and thrown out of Shield, crying in a bar. And so my drunken brain went into the Deathlock robot, and Jack Truman stole my body. So anyway, I've loved Shield forever. And so when they had a show, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be my dream show. And it wasn't. Speaking of Steranko, I wanted just full on, American James Bond. Phil Coulson give me that spy stuff every week.
Yeah. That's more what I was expecting, to tell you the truth. I wanted Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, was the super coolest flying Ferrari James Bond with an edge, right?
Exactly.
With an extra edge.
Right. I understand how that's with the show or with me. Because
with the show.
I love
and then you seem to turn into a rabid fan then, right? It wasn't what you expected, but
once I realized the problem was me and not the show, right? I wanted something different, and they were going, which they kind of teased, like the Joss Whedon written pilot looks like it was going to go that way. And the first season was great. I mean, once you realize that they were building Deathlock, which, this is why I Deathlock gets to be in it. That's great. They're not using the Larry Young Deathlock. Well, that's great. There's 7 Deathlocks, right? So I just, as long as I get to be on the Wikipedia page about it, I don't care. And then they did the big Captain America Winter Soldier reveal. And I'm like, okay, I get what's going on here. This is not what I wanted, but if I write it, it's good. And if I write it with my transparent shield, like the red brown Captain America. God, I love that.
I definitely loved, it seems to me like when you watch the two shows, if you were to compare those two shows, there's just such a step up. I am astounded by the visual effects in that Captain America and the quality of the production. The fights and everything is just incredible.
In the 70s,
compared to Shield.
In Shield. Yeah, no, Shield is great. I personally didn't care about the Inhuman stuff, and I knew too much about the behind-the-scenes stuff. Yes. That was a giant battle between Marvel movies and Marvel TV. But once they kind of settled down, all of season 4, I think they should have done for the rest of the show. They did in season 4, they did a thing called story pods. And it was basically, they, instead of doing episodes that kind of don't aggregate, or doing a season-long story about one thing that if you don't like, you don't care. They did, the first few was Ghost Rider, then the second few was, I forget what the second, the third one was the Framework, though, where they were in this Matrixy thing where Hydra was good guys. And it just was okay, if you didn't like this, I think the second was LMDs or something. And that led into the Framework. but then that, like, it gave you like, oh, this is only going to be 4 or 5 episodes long. So if I don't like it, it is setting up the next one. So I will keep watching. That was a pretty good idea. And then
I think so too.
They gave up on that for some reason. And I was like, wow, I hope somebody picks up on that idea and like structures their TV like that, because
mini arcs.
Yeah, it seems like a obvious thing after they did it to kind of split the difference between binging, streaming, and network television.
Yeah,
where you can binge like those 6 or 8 episodes if you want and go, wow, that part was great, and then ignore the rest of it if you don't care about Ghost Rider, or if you don't care.
Yeah,
then...
but I think maybe that's the problem. Is like they want you, like it's like they've always said with the miniseries. Retailers of comics have always said, the publishers say every new #1 is a jumping on point, right? But
right.
But it's also a jumping off point for people.
Yeah,
if the new team is not good.
Yeah, I think that one though, like just the history of marketing and advertising, that's like all things being equal, right? For every guy that you lose, you gain somebody. That's why Star Trek Discovery is still on the air, because somebody likes it, right? Somebody's ego is so much they're tied into it and they can't like get
when it comes to TV though and mass media, it's like, yeah, there's this humongous pool of people to pull from. In the comics world though, it's like it was this shrinking pool of aging out dudes reading comics. That's changed
the audience. Yeah. I don't read comics except for the stuff you show me now, and like weirdo stuff my friends work on, because it's just comics, man. There's so many other, like I could spend an hour just talking about like one episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier for you. I mean, I spent a whole episode explaining why I can't say Falcon and the Winter Soldier without thinking about it, because I'm so old. It's like Falcon and Snowman. I mean,
yeah, of course.
And then halfway,
which obviously is Brubaker was making that illusion when he named it that, when he put that story arc together in the comics, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and plus, I mean, winter is pretty common Russian thing, so I don't even know if that was Brube.
I'm sure it was. He did the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It was like an arc in Captain America.
No, I know. I meant I don't know if he's the one who named it. I mean, maybe.
Oh, okay. Well,
it's better than Falcon and Dr. Zhivago, right?
Either way, I enjoyed it for what it was. I'll tell you the #1 thing. The best part of that show, hands down, Larry. Batroc.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I loved everything about that show. There's all kinds of whiners going, oh, this wasn't addressed, and what does this mean? And I'm like, are you nuts? There was a Falcon in the Winter Soldier show, and it was great.
Well, they used Batroc in a way. I loved him in the Captain America movie when they actually had him in purple and yellow, kind of in that scene.
He was in the show,
guy brought something to that character, really excellent.
He's got his purple leather jacket and his gold shirt. Yeah, that's awesome. I just wish that,
Larry.
I wish somebody said Batroc is a leaper.
Oh, yeah, I know. There wasn't enough nods in that way.
Yeah.
Maybe a twirling mustache.
Yeah, he doesn't mean to grow the mustache, but his
But Larry, I think it's time. This is not the $1 Million Boob Tube. This is the $1 Million Mailbox.
Let's do some funny books.
Let's do it, dude. And you know where we go. We're going to go to the $1 Million Mailbox. Man, and if you want to see your stuff, send it to that address right there. P.O. Box 1163, Arcadia, California, 95518. And me and Larry will check it out for you. Ooh, perfect. Everything fits so nice. Mwah. It's like I planned it that way. Except me. Let's shrink me down.
The production quality on the show is #1 on YouTube, if you ask me.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
I can't believe you built that Batmobile set. That was amazing.
Well, and they, we spare no expense here for sure. Wait a minute. I had something new that I worked on. I don't know. We'll show that later. Let's look at some comics right now. I'm going to start. Do this in weird order. I'm going to start with this Northstar by Tom Herpich. Now it's got I really apologize to Tom and to Chris Pitzer over at Adhouse Books. You see this? This is a scar, Larry, from when I flipped my Subaru on the 101.
See, that's amazing. That's worth more, if you ask me.
Yeah,
that is
honestly
earned battle damage for that copy.
Yeah, I risked life and limb to go back in to the steaming wreckage, if not flaming.
You save your kids, and then the comics, and then your wife, right?
Yes. Well, of course, in that order. Absolutely in that order. And this is a nice looking saddle stitch stapled oversized pamphlet. It's bigger than a regular comic.
I gotta say, I love it. I can tell that's got that cool matte finish cover from here.
Yeah, it's all matty.
You said this is
I don't know if I call
right?
this a comic or not, though.
You said this is Adhouse?
Adhouse Books?
Yeah, I told you last time I was on. Old Chris Pitzer knows what he's doing to making really pleasant objects out of his books.
He absolutely does. And that's what I would call this, a pleasant object. I'm not sure if I call it a comic. I'm not going to say it in a disparaging way. I'll just let you tell me. What we have basically is, a page of poetry and a page of artwork. And there is a theme to the poetry, but I'll be honest, I'm not that smart. I'm gonna cop to this. I'm not that great at parsing meaning out of poetry that doesn't like heavily rhyme and have body lyrics,
or has like a good beat that you can dance to.
Well, it's got to be like a salty sea shanty or something. But I will say I did get something out of them. I thought they were. If you are a fan of poetry and artwork, the art is definitely fun and interesting to look at. It's not always clear to me how the picture applies to the particular poem that's there, other than mood and sort of sensibility. Can
I tell you, I love stuff like this. I would call it a comic just because of the format. It's saddle stitch, but also it's words and pictures juxtaposed, right? Which is all what comics are. And so the words by them, this is perfect if you ask me, because the words by themselves have a meaning and the picture by itself has a meaning. But you put them together and that was the first thing you said. It's like, I don't see how this fits together, but they made you think about it. So that's true. That right there, they did its job, right? So whether you respond to the format or not is like a different thing. That they made you. I say this all the time to the kids I talk to about writing, that like having somebody say you're a genius is just as good as somebody saying you're an evil person who needs to die, because you made the audience feel something. Like the worst you can get is like, they can take it or leave it. Yeah, it's like, no, right. I didn't slave for a year on that. It's just so you could go meh to me, No. So that's I totally honor this work. This is great.
Okay. Well, that's true. That's why there's. Sorry.
Is that handwritten over there? Oh, I'm waving my cursor like you can see it.
Well, it might be.
Or is that a font?
It might be a font. It's actually hard for me to tell.
Take a look at the E.
It's not. It's handwritten.
That's great. If you can see the lowercase e's, if they look different.
That's what I checked.
Yeah, that's
what I saw.
See, you're a professional.
Okay.
Well, that's
pretty cool
then.
stuff, though. The guy is a good artist, and it's like some of these are fun pictures for sure to look at, and there's some fun wordplay, and I'm not going to read a lot of the poetry. I could read one. Stretching, like a finger pressing into a membrane. The interior face stretches and stretches, going nowhere. The taut cone ringed in colored bands, dusky concord at its base, narrowing into lavender, then bubblegum, and onto a cherry red scowl. While outside, simultaneously, pain is grasped, pleasure-like, intently, all too tightly, thus slipping the grasp, resetting the face.
How about that?
Daffy Duck.
I wonder which came first. Are they both from the same? Are the poems and the art from the same guy?
Yes, Tom Herpich. Herpich.
He looks a little like he's got Jeff Smith in Bone, like on drugs, kind of stuff.
Well, I love the imagery. I like stuff like this.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is very. I don't know. This makes me go like, oh, I see why it's an Adhouse book. Like this just there's something about the feeling from this. So thank you, Chris Pitzer, for this and several other books that he sent me as well that I'm going to be reviewing soon. One of which actually the author reached out to me, and we're going to be having him on pretty soon.
Oh, that's I love that one. That's great.
Okay, awesome. I enjoyed it myself. Now let's bring in what? Let's talk super quick because I'm going to bring in the creator of this too. This was a Kickstarter. We had Don Chin on to talk about Beard Zerker, right? Don Chin was the creator of adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters, Larry.
Speaking of the old days.
Speaking of the oldies.
I just mentioned that book to Walker yesterday.
Did you know that Dynamite owns the rights to that?
I did not. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I kind of think it's funny you can own the rights to that in the first place.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's interesting because I was talking about, maybe I was talking to Don, I was talking to somebody about Frank Miller's influence, like how there are projects like Turtles. There's a direct line from, there's no Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles without Daredevil.
Absolutely.
Right? And even things like The Tick, if you read those early issues of Tick, right, there's a direct, it is super, like, it's all about Daredevil.
Sure.
And like there's their Oedipus character instead of the Elektra character, right? And so I go, like, even the parodies of him became these ultra giant franchises that like took over pop culture. How freaking influential is that guy?
That's what we were talking about, actually, that Marvel tried to trademark the letter X, so you couldn't get this X mutants and X cons and X girlfriends and stuff like that everybody, I think, not just Miller, but Bill Sienkiewicz and Dave Gibbons, I guess, anybody that put anything good out in 1985 and 1986, like, impacted comics for the next 10 years at least, like the Wet Streets and Neon.
Sure, but nobody like Frank, right? Like, I can't think of anybody even close to the seismic impact he had, not just in comics, because cartoonists are like, this is the thing, but then like suddenly comics were different after Frank, after Dark Knight Returns,
after Dark Knight Returns came out, like, all of a sudden that prestige format became a viable commercial thing for everybody. Yeah, he impacted
just Batman as a thing to be serious about. And became a thing.
I don't know. Wasn't the Steve Englehart, Marshall Rogers, like, serious Batman pretty? I think Batman was going grim and gritty, and before, just from the whole, like,
it was dark and detective V, right? But it wasn't postmodern, as
I gotcha.
I gotcha. Not to mention, giant panels and giant pages with many panels, like all the formalistic, stylistic things that he did on top of content.
One of the things I loved about Frank is that nobody cared, so they let him do what he wanted. And that's really the only time you ever get seismic change in anything. It's like when people start doing what they want without the bean counters going, oh, nobody wants that shitty Klaus Janson inking. Like, no, yes, that's exactly what we want.
No, everyone wants that. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to quickly just go through here. You know what this is? Okay, this is for maybe like a younger reader. Like, if I was reading, like, if I read this when Adolescent Radioactive Black Belt Hamsters came out, like, if I was that age, then this would be what it would really appeal to me. Because it's just full of puns and silly parodies of things you may or may not know. This is the early sort of Kirby pastiche part, which I think is cool. Like, it's got that look that clearly like the source material, they were looking and absorbing it heavily. But there's multiple stories in here. And I'll just page through some of varying levels.
Parody stuff is like good. You can get away with anything for a while. So this is a great format for that.
For sure. It's just full of puns. But then we got to this story. We got to this New Mutant story. And I go, standout story. I want to know who Thad Rhodes is. Okay?
That art,
because this is clearly Photoshop plus, like, this is just artistic chops on display. I'm sorry, this is really the coolest looking story to me. It's only 2 pages, but it just has a look like not many other things.
Yeah, I love it.
Is this Grant Morrison as Professor X?
I don't know.
I think maybe. It maybe is.
Might be Tad.
Okay. Then we've got Don Chin padding out the page count, John Byrne style.
Oh, speaking of that,
Battle in a Blizzard.
Remember we were talking about the Elsewin thing last time? Some crazy French guy, or I guess he's Canadian. It's in French. I should have looked before I talked about this. He drew stuff in there in Byrne's style of the Snowblind number 6. And I was like, this is incredible. It's like, here's what
I would like to see that.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's pretty good. I know where I saw that.
Okay. More X-Force Parody. I'm not going to go through it all because I want to bring Don back in and we're going to talk about this.
Man, that art is great.
This was, I think, in the can for a while, and they brought it back to be Kickstarter. I'm not totally sure the details. I meant to ping Don on this, but I've been so busy, man.
I love that all the work that goes into basically is a joke. I like, it's not like I haven't done something like that. That Rex Mantooth thing was like, we treated that like Shakespeare. And so working.
Larry, I'll tell you, you want to talk about wasting time? I've been literally spending time lately planning a documentary about the history of the manila envelope. A completely fake documentary about the history of the manila.
I would watch the hell out of that.
Okay, that's the kind of stuff I'm going to bring you on. Maybe I'll bring you on board to consult.
Oh, yeah. I have things to say about my many years in the manila envelope factory.
Well, here's my goal, dude. I live next to a town called Manila, California. It's right up here next to Arcata, and they have paper mills there. So my goal, every person I meet, I tell them that the manila envelope was invented in Manila. And because there's paper mills there, it's plausible.
Right.
So my goal is to have this lie told to me someday, and then I win.
I just heard, I thought it was the Philippines. The Manila Philippines invented it, but Manila,
common misconception, my friend. Common misconception.
I need the documentary to set me straight. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know all about the Manila high school fighting envelopes.
Yeah.
The fighting lopes. Can't lick them. This is what I'm literally spending my time on.
I know. How can I not buy this right now? I want to be an investor in this movie. That's awesome.
So that same kind of thing. Goofy jokes. Don writes a lot of this stuff, I think, with his wife and stuff. They're just having fun and enjoy putting comics together. Don clearly has chops because the production values on this thing are high quality.
Yeah,
glossy pages, really nice looking stuff. I'm going to say the standout story was the New Mutants story in there. I like that Thad guy. Coming soon, Beard Zerker. We had him on here. It's a parody of the Keanu Reeves Berserker comic.
Wow, that
did you know that's the best selling comic in comic history or something?
That's what I heard.
Yeah. All right, so that's X-Farce Reloaded, and I got the Don even sent me the distressed vintage cover, as well as the 90s version.
I love it.
Okay. Next, let's go to another big publisher. My man Eric Reynolds sent me the Thud. This is amazing. I was crying, genuine emotional tears right before you hopped on the call while I was reading this book. This book is the real deal.
I love how you're like trying to convince people you're actually a human being and not a sophisticated robot. I was crying actual tears.
Legitimate tears, not the glycerin tear like Marsha Queen of Diamonds used in
why
Batman
did
66.
Go back to that. Why did they not use the Thud there for the logo on the front? See that on the title page? Yeah.
This?
Yeah, that's the only thing I can say right now. You can't read that.
You don't like that? Yeah, that's tough to read. You're right.
You don't want that from a logo. You want it to be
you're right.
Clear. Yeah. I love the art, though.
Well, this is a German comic, Larry.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And let me just read you the inner flap here. Okay. There's a village in Germany called, apologies to you Germans out there, called Neurokorrode. That is largely populated and run by people with developmental disabilities. The local restaurant, the local bar, the local supermarket, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful, even incredible place, and it's where the Thud is set. Okay. So
that's going to be
a story about it.
That's a pretty interesting line to walk right there.
Oh my gosh. And does he walk it? Because
Yeah.
this is all told from the point of view of this young, developmentally disabled young man. Okay. And I don't know how he's about maybe 12 or so. He lives with his mumsy and they love AC/DC, Larry.
Who doesn't?
Okay. But that's their thing, right? That they bond over. And
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool relationship. And they live in Berlin. And she's, here she's getting him an electric guitar and they're talking about AC/DC. It's wonderful stuff. And then one night he's sitting in bed and he hears a thud. Okay. And his life changes at this point because his mom had a stroke.
Oh no.
And now has been put in a medically induced coma. Okay. And he said, now this is all from his point of view. So for him, he's sort of like his mom. He sees his mom. He doesn't know what to do. He has to figure out how to figure out what his address is and how to call 911. He's trying to remember what is the number to remember. And his mom taught him like to the fish. I guess it's 112 maybe there in Germany is there 911. And so he puts it all together. And this kid, he puts it together. But mom is in a medically induced coma. And he's sort of wandering. And he gets found and shipped to this place, Nurkarode. Okay, here he is at the doctor. Here's the doctors, the quacks. This is all from his point of view.
Yeah.
So he's like not understanding everything that's going around. And people are just like, he's being shuffled somewhere new. He doesn't know. And his mom, he doesn't know what's going on with his mom. He doesn't know what medical induced coma means.
Yeah.
So it's like, you feel for this kid. When he's saying thud, stroke, coma, I don't understand. I don't quite get it. But he's sent off with a social worker and he's sent to this place near Nurkarode. And the first thing that happens is they run into this police officer. And I'm not sure. I think the police officer is also developmentally disabled, right? Like everybody in this town, or like most of the people are. So all of the characters that this kid is introduced to now, almost all of them are autistic or have some mental disability or whatnot, but they're living in this town and just living life. So it's not like a clinical environment. It's just like life with all these kooky characters that
right.
have these disabilities. It's really great. The artwork is fantastic.
I mean, honestly, I think this is an excellent thing to explore. Like I said, the line that guy's walking. But this is like, what's the difference between this thematically and Planet of the Apes, right? It's just a way to comment on society using what's, considered outsiders or, not normal, neuronormative. I think that's amazing. I can't wait to read this, actually. I thought it was
actually
the color does not do that a service. I'm not sure how you could get a better cover. But a guy in a cape, Dumpy, it looks like he's a superhero called the Thud. And just the fact that that's the inciting incident, that he has to go on this journey because his mom hits the floor too hard. That's amazing. I have to read this.
Yeah, it's great because this guy is a fully formed character, right? And he falls in love. That love is unrequited. And he he meets and makes friends. This, autistic guy who's always just like super like obsessing on sticks and numbers and stuff, but none of that is ever explained that any of these people have any disabilities or anything. It's just like these are the people he meets and they act a little kooky, but they also kind of help him adjust to this new world and this new life.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's a beautiful book. Okay. And he falls in love. He meets a girl and falls in love. She sort of like dances with him, and so he thinks they're in love and what have you. And even the teachers at the school, like this lady who's sculpting here, she's sculpting this beautiful thing, and then in the middle of it, she just starts screaming and charges him and slams him in the face.
Jesus.
And he's just like, what? And they're like, well, it's cool. She doesn't usually hit people. It's like
right. That's gonna happen. I love the art.
Happens.
The art is so like organic and almost like unformed. Like you imagine it totally serves the story. You imagine that's how he's going through life, right?
It's so wonderful. And he lives in this sort of house that's sort of like a, I don't want to, halfway house or whatever, right? Like it's all developmentally disabled people, and then like one adult who's kind of takes care of them there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, okay, this is cool. And he's going through life and he's doing his thing. But it gets better and better as it goes on. It's so amazing. I had just got to the part where, okay, so he sort of fell in love with the girl, and then there's another girl who's sort of in love with him. And anyway, he goes and meets at the bus stop, and he meets an elderly lady who's also kind of developmentally disabled in some way, right? But she tells a story. She flashes back, and she tells a story about what happened in this town in World War II.
Oh, man.
When the Nazis came and rounded up all the developmentally disabled people.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. And took them away and told them they were taking them to the beach and that they were going on a vacation, and they just never came back. And she got warned by her friend who said, don't get on that bus no matter what you do. And she escaped, but never saw him again. Okay. I mean, I'm getting choked up here because it was emotionally affecting. Yeah. And the thing is, these are all based on the stories of real people in that town. So these are real stories that he went and collected. This is a real place.
That makes it even more powerful, huh?
It's fantastic. Okay. And when our hero falls in love and thinks he's in love, and they talk about sex, and they watch a porno movie, a German porno movie.
Yikes.
I don't and then go to an AC/DC concert, and he sees his love dancing with somebody, and he just wails on the guy. They get in a huge fight, and he's like, they're gonna have to kick him out of the halfway house if he doesn't get his act together. Oh, and the guardian at the house got struck by lightning.
I love the German there. For the lightning, that's the
storm.
That's of course for the word for storm. So it's just
storm and drang.
Just storming there.
And so the kid is always obsessed with electricity and the electric feeling, he describes it as, that a man and a woman have when they're together. And he's like, he's going through puberty. He's getting a mustache in this book.
Nice.
And so he's going through all these things, but through his developmentally disabled perspective. But that's not even really dealt with. That's just the background of it. So it's beautiful. And he has to take judo classes to get through his aggression so that he can stay there. And I'm on the last few pages, and I haven't even quite finished it, but it was a really affecting book, and I just thought it was fantastic.
That's Fantagraphics, you said, right?
Yeah, Fantagraphics books by Michael Ross. The Thud, folks, check it out. Eric Reynolds, thank you for sending me that. I really appreciate it, and all the love that you've given to me in this channel. I appreciate it more than you can know. Okay, what do we got? Oh man, I left the best. This one was okay. This is one of those ones where this guy sent me 3 comics that have been sitting in. I thought I had. Do I have his stickers? Yeah, I do. Wait.
He sent the swag as well.
Yeah, he sent me. He knows the way to Danny's heart is with a good die cut sticker. And how good of a logo is that, Larry?
That's great. I love it.
For Bottlecrow Productions.
It's pretty. It does what it says on the tin.
Fantastic. That really is a great design. I love it. And I was a little like, I didn't know what to expect, because these books are they're different. They're all different. They're not related to each other, really. Maybe thematically. Let's look. So they came out, and nice production value. This is not a standard size comic. It's a little bit, you can see it's almost like the same width of a comic, but shorter. So
what's the guy's name? Derek something?
Oh, Derek Freeland. And he has some collaborators as well. And we'll look at these real quick. We'll go through these because these surprised me a lot how much I love these. This guy's got a lot of talent and a big future in comics. Okay, now available Ossuary, Chimera, and My Old Friend is coming soon. We don't have that. So we have End Over End. This was the latest one. This was written and illustrated by Derek himself. So we can see what he is as a solo cartoonist. Move this over here. Bottlecrow's here. Lovely. Okay. So it's weird. There's superhero action in it. There's sort of supernatural action in it.
Weird stuff is my favorite.
Didn't go anywhere I expected it to go. And then went straight back into the real world. This is a person who can draw all kinds of different stuff, who can draw sequential art, storytelling, emotions. This is a cartoonist, a fully realized cartoonist. I love it. I don't quite understand this story exactly, but I enjoyed it immensely, not just for the art, but just for the feeling that I got from it. This is my least favorite, though, of the three, so that's why I'm starting with it.
So think about that. You're like, it's my least favorite, but it's amazing. So the next
But I loved it. But I really loved it. Okay. Next, I'll go to Chimera, and because I'm saving the last one because I think this is Larry.
Oh yeah,
it's Larry.
I love the guy's art.
You'll understand why. Okay, Chimera. This is an anthology. Okay, it's got multiple stories in it, and they're all pretty good. Some of them more like experimental, but still really lovely looking sequential story. This one uses like photo collage, different kinds of. This is just killer cartooning here. Reminds me a little of maybe a Al Columbia. Little bit.
Wow, Al Columbia. I haven't heard that name for a while.
Maybe a little bit. It reminds me of that. Like any anthology, the stories are going to vary, right? And so I was going through this. I'm like, okay, pretty good. And then, I got to Galmir. This is my favorite story. It's a story about a dragon, and someone sent to kill the dragon, and the killer, and it's almost a mystery of how does this person sent to kill the dragon know the dragon's name, because you need to know a dragon's name in order to slay it. That's how you can conquer it. You must know its true name. And so there's a sort of mystery unfolds, and a sort of just a conversation that takes place between the assassin and the dragon, talking about the history and how she came to be here with this sword. And maybe she's not exactly who she appears to be. And that maybe it's actually another dragon.
Dragons.
And
they're magic.
And there's a sort of like lovely, somewhat ambiguous ending. And it just felt great. It looked like book from, this is something I might have read in Caliber Comics in the late 90s or late 80s, early 90s or something. Do you ever read one called Camelot Eternal?
Of Caliber?
Yeah.
No. I read, that's how I followed Caliber with Charlie Adler did the Bandyman for them. And
quite a few really good books.
What
Empire
was
Lanes? I think that was there.
Yeah. Jinx. Brian Michael Bendis's Jinx was a Caliber book at first.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Back when they weren't numbered, but they were Ace, King, Queen, Jack for the 4 different.
Not a great commercial move, Brian. I'm just gonna say. Okay.
Yeah, that guy. He's not going anywhere in comics, huh? And judge everybody by their first project.
Well, it's Jinx World too. That's his jam is still Jinx.
Yeah.
Okay, but now finally the Ossuary. This is by far my favorite of the books because it's just one comic, one story, and it's a pretty straight ahead, straightforward kind of sci-fi with a twist story of these two astronauts, and they are which is why I knew you'd love it, Larry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, huh? All right, I love it already.
And they're commissioned by this alien race to sort of take their herd of bug beasts to their ossuary, all right, where they're gonna do something.
Well, that's
ossuary. On this planet,
not a great word for those things, I think.
Well, the what's cool, one thing I like sci-fi. I like when they have little fun details, like their spacesuits don't have oxygen. There's oxygen on this planet. It's a filter. They use filters.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, there's enough oxygen for them. Just they can't breathe the crap. That's a good idea.
Filter out the poison. Yeah, I've never seen that in a space show. Well, it's always like you're going to run out of oxygen. In this case, they can only go so many kilometers before their filters are no good. So they have to bring enough filters with them to travel whatever distance. Kind of Dune-ish, maybe.
That's sort of how we are right now with the COVID. If you have enough masks.
I don't know if there are enough masks, Larry. Okay.
They did a cool thing on Next Generation about this. They had an alien that had to dip down to their chest. They wore a little thing that blew smoke up. So oxygen, nitrogen atmosphere was good, but they were just missing a vital component that they have to take a hit off of every once in a while when they were talking. I thought that was
remember
cool.
That. I've got the same problem there.
What time is it? Noontime? Yeah, you're about right.
So these guys, the two astronauts don't get along so well. They're kind of bickering throughout, but it turns out there's some betrayal going on, because when they get there, the aliens at one point were sort of secretly talking to one of them. The others are like, "What were those dudes? What were they saying to you?" And she's like, "Nothing."
Yeah, don't worry about it. Always a good sign.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna sacrifice you to this alien horde of beasts.
Yeah, on another planet. Oh, that's not gonna be good.
Right. So she pushes him when he least expects it. They give the signal, give the alien hand jive, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then this is great. I don't know if you can see this, how well you can see it.
Yeah.
They attack the guy here. Look at this.
Oh, not good.
Needle to the eyeball.
The eyeball, yeah.
The needle.
Frederick Wortham is mad about that.
That's nightmare inducing to me. And then not only that, here's what happens afterwards. We get to see the whole thing. He is just turned into what? Yeah. He bubbles up and turns into this sort of slimy bubbles, almost like human boba tea or something.
Yeah, it's breakfast for the aliens, right?
Well, but they say, you've got to eat it. To the other chick, they say, you got to eat this. It won't hurt you, but you got to eat it for our deal to be complete. So she eats it.
Yeah.
Grows up.
She
doesn't die, or does she? She wakes up and suddenly she's tripping balls, Larry. Something.
Yeah.
She's seeing like through them. She's got X-ray vision now or something. And then so she's seeing all the aliens. She comes to a human skeleton, and it's her dead buddy, who says, she says, "What is this?" And he says, "Communion with their ancestors, I think. And now we're part of it. You and me, in it to the bone. I pushed you into the pool. Don't try to make sense of it. Subtle contextual analysis isn't exactly a strength of yours." Okay, and he says, he says, "I want to show you something. I'm going to show you how to get out of here."
I love that guy's talking to the audience with that line.
Well, and then she goes, "I have a transport scheduled for tomorrow." "No, you don't." "Damn it, Ron, you're a hallucination. It's not possible you know something I don't."
No, he's an ossuary.
Anyway, I'm not going to give away I don't want to give away the EC-like twist ending.
He's
or whatever.
Bones. He's Bones. It's an ossuary. All the bones, they're really there.
But she gets her comeuppance, and this was my favorite of the 3 books from Bottlecrow, just because I'm a big single issue comic guy, right? Self-contained, satisfied. You read it in whatever 15 minutes and just feel like you got everything you needed and got put into a real world.
I love that stuff like that. That's a trick too, to do that in 22 pages. You feel like you've gotten a whole story. That's a trick.
I really believe in this guy's cartooning abilities. I honestly, I think, I don't want to say you've got a future, because you got a present, dude. You're doing stuff right here. These are great. These are professional quality comics that somebody who likes good comics could read and enjoy.
Dan, you gotta say that again. That's great. Like, I don't want to say you have a future, because you have a present. I think people doing the work got their nose so far down in it to get that next page done or whatever, they forget that that's a really important observation. I wish somebody had told me that when I was a little younger. Like, don't worry about like how it's going to be received. Like, just finish it and see what happens. Right?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, you got a future.
My own performance anxiety.
Yeah, you got a future, but you got a present. So don't forget that. That's awesome.
That's it.
That's stealing that.
So that's been my motto, because like I have all these plans. I have things where I want to take this channel. I have directions I want to take. I have crazy things that I want to do.
Sure.
And I just keep being afraid to fail.
But you learn something, right? I mean, every failure is like, unless you're like, chasing some college girl or something, that's going to be an obvious mistake. But like anything else, like you got to see if it works first. That's what we were talking about Frank Miller in the beginning, right?
Totally.
Like they were ready to cancel Daredevil. So who cares if the guy who only is known for John Carter fill-ins does Daredevil, right? Oh, except it's smoking good and changes the history of comics.
Totally. So, exactly.
So that's the thing. Don't lose track of your present. That's all.
Yeah, and nobody's taken this away from this guy, right? And he's got this body of work. He's got these 3 comics, but if he wanted to, he could publish them all. He could collect them together into just a single collected volume, or sky's the limit what you could do with this stuff.
I would totally collect that now and just call it Untitled Derek Project and see what happens. Just so you have something to give reviewers, right?
Speaking of which, there are some other. Okay, yeah, this one, Chimera, was all Derek. Ossuary was Derek Freeland with Savannah Irvin artwork, and I think they made a great team. That was a great comic. I thought his solo stuff was good. Can you tell I like Bottlecrow comics, Larry?
I was just going to say, getting off this when we're done and going to my Facebook and trying to find Bottlecrow Productions.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's
Larry. Thanks a lot, buddy. I'm scratching the bottom of the mailbox now. There's a few things in there left, but maybe you can come back. Maybe even next week. You got any time?
Yeah, man. Near the end of the week. Next week.
Yeah, and towards the end of the week, maybe like Thursday or Friday again.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, Friday rather, maybe Friday.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Oh, we'll do Friday. Definitely can do that.
Okay, let's plan on it. Thanks, Larry.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. I was thinking about that Northstar book. That was pretty good. It's very similar to that Warren Ellis photography book we did back in the day. Maybe I'll send you one just so you can take a look at it. But it was a very similar thing, right? Warren was posting like these 400-word stories and his little 72 DPI handspring things. And I was like, dude, stop putting that in public. That's a book. And it's called Available Light. Hardcover thing. It was really nice. Like now you look at it and go, what is this garbage? Because the pictures are so, 72 DPI. That's not print quality whatsoever. But that was state of the art at the time. And if you look at it like, oh my God, this is what people are doing and at the turn of the century, like it just reminded me of that.
Screen resolution. See, that's a blog, really. That's what today would just be a Tumblr or something.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, exactly. A live journal from back then.
Okay, you send me one of those. I got a book I'm going to send you, Larry, because I have 2 copies. I accidentally bought another copy of something called Cyber Antics.
That sounds familiar. What is that?
Okay, I might have mentioned it to you before. It's Rick Geary, and it's a Dark Horse comic. It's an Aliens tie-in, and it's a children's book.
That's a lot going on. Right there, Rick Geary Aliens tie-in. I'm fine. I'll do that right now.
Yeah,
but it's a children's book. That's hilarious. I've got to read that.
So if you've ever read Aliens Hive by I forgot the writer. It's the same writer as this, and
It's not Mark Verheyen, is it?
Kelly Jones. It's not Verhoeven, I don't think. But anyway, that was a book about a guy who built a robotic alien and sent it into an alien hive. Okay. And he was this rogue professor who was so rogue, he didn't publish his works, his research in journals. He published it as a children's book, an illustrated children's book with scientific footnotes, Larry.
This is awesome.
I'm sending you this thing and we'll talk about it.
Yes. Yes, please.
Cool.
I'll put my alien spacesuit on to talk about it.
Yeah. You got those hoppers? You got those alien shoes?
Which ones?
You know, the ones that Nike, the limited release Nike ones that they put out?
Yeah, no, I have the commercially available ones they call bug stompers. But not the tall ones that Ripley did, because they only made 426 pairs, which is ridiculous. And they were going for giant money in the old days. I've actually seen them for around $1,000 now, which I'm embarrassed to say that I think that that's a pretty good value. But my wife would kill me because I would want to wear them around. Why are you buying those if you're not wearing them?
I got a buddy who bought them new off the shelf when that movie came out and probably still has them.
The tall ones?
Not the tall ones. Whatever was available. The bug stompers.
Yeah, the bug stompers, they're actually pretty comfortable shoes. I wear those a lot.
Tell me about the aliens fairy tale for sure, Chud babies. We'll do that. We'll try to do that next week. If I can get it in the mail, I can get it to you by next Friday.
Oh man, we'll do an alien thing if you want. I'm all, because of April 26th being Aliens Day. I'm full of piss and vinegar about that.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. That's a commercially thing that they started. You know how like Star Wars is May the 4th. And the aliens guys went, well, LV426, let's have April 26th be it. And I thought that was kind of funny. And then you get down into the like Star Wars guys where it's like, hey, it's Star Trek Day. And it's like, well, wait, what's Star Trek Day?
NCC, what? I don't know how you work that.
Yeah, January 70th, I guess, right? I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, Gabriel Jimenez is a new supporter. He's new to this channel. He's been watching a lot. He's been chiming in occasionally. Says looking at Comixology for Bottlecrow. He sees two. One of them is that one, but it's called Approbation.
That's good. That means there's new work from Derek. That's great.
And Don Chin, I'm late to the party. Thanks for reviewing X-Farce, Don. Hey, Don, how about maybe early next week? Drop in. I'm going to do an early stream, and you drop in, and we'll talk about it. What do you think?
Talking with Dan's the most fun thing ever. Come on, Don. Get on that.
Only about comics. Try talking to me about anything else, and I am just
I bet you got something to say about Subarus now.
Well, Subaru, let's see. What are my topics of conversation like? Comic books, JavaScript, and then it like gets so... I know nothing about anything.
Oh, come on. You're a good dad, so you probably got good parenting things to say.
Oh, and Don Chin is down for the Manila Envelope documentary and Samoa. I didn't even... of course, the Samoa connection. Samoa's one town over from Manila. And in the notes to my documentary, they have a high school rivalry, even though there's no high school in either of these towns. They have a rivalry called the Paper Bowl every year that they do in a giant boondoggle construction stadium here on Arcata Bay. I can't wait to do the special effects for this.
Oh my God. This sounds amazing.
Okay.
So Samoa cookies are the same color as Manila envelopes too. I wonder if that's part of the rivalry.
Oh my, they might be shredded Manila envelopes. Okay. Don, we'll bring you in next week for sure. Larry will bring you back. It's
all right. Sounds good, Dan. I love talking to you.
We're at the 1 hour mark. Exactly 1 hour and 11 seconds. I love that. Mwah, sweet spot. Thanks, Larry.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
All right. See you soon, buddy. Oh, folks. And thank you for continuing to watch this crazy thing. Oh, I didn't even get to show. I forgot, Larry. I designed that new Thanos snap stinger just for you, pal. Anyway, we'll bring that back on another show. Thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking like. Thanks for clicking the thumbs up or the thumbs down. But hey, if you click the thumbs down, do me one favor. Put a comment. these last several streams, we've been getting actually a lot more views this week with a little more live content, a lot more people sort of checking it out. But not many comments. So please put like a regular comment, not just in the chat comments if you liked it, or even if you didn't, we'll take some constructive criticism. What did you think about Thud? What did you think about Chimera, Ossuary, X-Farce Reloaded, and the other one that I lost already? Anyway, thanks for checking it out. Come in next Thursday. We're going to have who again? Pat Mills. Oh my gosh, Martial Law, 2000 AD, and Space Warp, and so many other things. He's going to be here on Thursday, but I will do shows before that. And they will be happening very soon at a time that we like to call, what do we call it? You know what we call it? We call it next time.
Excuse me.
That's a bad outfit.
Okay, Breslau, movie.